Welcome to the Don't Know Much podcast, or as you know, is the DKM podcast, ladies and gentlemen, where we don't know much about anything, but what we do know is that we're kind of late to this whole this whole mess of things. A lot of things happened this week. A ton of stuff happened this week. If you're a content creator, if you're a news someone who just talks about news, a lot of things happen, whether it be negative, double negative, or just really outright illegal. A lot of things really did happen, and before we start this episode, there's one thing I do want to start off with. On a good note, on a good positive note, uh, to balance out. In a funny way to balance out all negativity that we might be talking about in this episode. Um, Recently, John Cena has been given a Guinness World Record. He's on the books now, ladies and gentlemen. What's that for? Well, I think he has about 650 visits to make a Wish Foundation. So you know how that works is a kid or someone uh, gets sponsored by Make a Wish, and they ask them, "Do you want to meet anyone? Do you want to see anyone? Do you want to go somewhere?" And then they take them there, or they bring that person to them. And John Cena has been requested 650 times. So it's one of those nice, heartwarming things, that this world has to offer. In this ocean, this vast ocean of just negativity and this cesspool, at least John Cena is able to bring a light to kids who have known nothing but despair at some points in their lives or another. But yeah, uh, is there anything else you want to talk about, Daniel, other than this positivity? Because I'm not ready. I'm not ready for all this nonsense we're about to bring up.
Yeah, I pretty much am gonna have a fucking field day, and all I could say right now to all the people out there that might have thought that maybe me leaving Twitch was a bad idea. Well, clearly, and let's just say that I could smell the smoke coming out of that house fire that was coming because holy shit, there's a lot of things that's happening in our favorite little purple website right now.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to like use this as like a getaway to say like, oh guys, you should stream on this platform instead. I'm just saying like, hey, there's some goofy shit right now. I think some people are really gonna have to like take a minute and be like, hey, what do I want to do for the future? But yeah, our favorite little purple website has been getting a lot of drama lately, a lot of situations, a lot of drama that I don't think we should like generally talk about in this podcast because I think with certain situations, not to name any names, but some pretty fucked up shit has been going on, and generally speaking, we don't like to talk about that on this podcast because generally speaking, in a comedy centered podcast, I don't think it's very appropriate. But we will talk about like other goofy shit that has been going on though. First things first, I think that we should get this out of the way right now. Basically well, first thing we should get started, I kind of started this whole shit show, was basically how I got immersed into this week of drama, was basically about the Slicker situation, about Slicker going into debt and going around asking people for finances, and including his audience, his mods, and apparently some of his loyal supporters, and even other streamers as well. And yeah, it's some fucked shit, dude. It's pretty crazy out there how like people with a following like that could just reach up to anybody and just say like, hey man, I can't access my bank account, can you help me, spot me some money? And then we found out that like the reason why he was spotting for people for money was for his gambling addiction, which is completely, it's sad, it's some fucked up shit, but hey man, at the end of the day, you're the adult that went out of your way to ask for finance, for capital to fund that kind of addiction. That's just not cool. That's just fucked, Marco. So
one of
what's your take
those
on it?
Nigerian prince scams is like, hey, I need your money to access my money, and then once I access my money, I'll give you half of my money, which is in the billions. Yeah, it's one of those things where like I think at one point the number
Which
reached 300
the
billion.
funny thing, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the funny thing you mentioned about that Prince scenario, something crazy happened to me. I
Yeah.
was actually trying to sell something on someone, and someone said like, "Oh, do you have a Zelle?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's great because I prefer using Zelle over Cash App." And like, "Oh, let me just send you the information." So they send you this bogus ass email to you saying that like, oh, you can't access this amount or this and that. And basically the guy, what he's trying to do, he's trying to say like, hey, I'm going to send you $500 for something that's worth $200, and they're going to just like scam their way
Yeah.
into getting their money back. I never experienced that before, but it was just so weird. I was like, wait, what? This guy, and this guy was like asking me like, oh, My wife is gonna come pick it up in her pickup truck. I'm like, dude, it's a bunch of fucking video games. Like, what are you talking about needing a truck? And what do you mean like sending me money up front? Like, are you kidding me? It was ridiculous. It's like, all right, great. So now I know a new scam to avoid. But anyways, yeah. So what were you saying?
Yeah, so when it comes to the whole Slicker thing, Slicker is a content creator on Twitch, obviously. I think at one point I misspoke, but I think he owed, I think, or borrowed $300,000 from fellow content creators and Twitch streamers and friends, and that's a pretty penny.
Audience members.
Yeah, and audience members, and um, I think it was XQC, which is another person who's probably going to become up multiple. We're going to say that name multiple times throughout this episode. I think he was, or maybe it was Ludwig. I can't remember. That they were going to help pay back the money that he took from people and
I
whatever.
think it wasn't either. I think it was Trainwrecks who was giving him that offer.
Was it? I know it was. I know it wasn't just one. I know it was multiple creators. By multiple, I mean like maybe like one or two, maybe three. I just can't remember.
More than one, essentially.
Yeah, more
Like
than
you
one.
had this
Yeah.
guy had more than one chance to get his shit together.
What I think about it mainly, I've never been a big fan of Twitch overall, only because like I feel like the way they run things, it's similar to like how I don't like iPhone or Apple products. Like I don't like sure, the casual layman can enjoy that product, and to each their own, but I just don't like how like they can capture the cultural mind that everyone thinks that Apple's the best or Twitch is the best when it comes to streaming, whereas every other platform has their own strengths and weaknesses. And sure, Twitch has a very nice and streamlined thing when it comes to like you're a new viewer for someone, and how easy it is to get into it. And sure, that's cool. And I just don't like the overall general thing of Twitch, and it sucks that they're going through this. I just want them to be better. But the one thing that I'm not liking is the whole gambling and any.
Well, to say earlier about like if you want my reason and why maybe I could explain why people just are more into Twitch because I think here's where my take on it on this, Marcos.
Mhm.
Here's the thing, Twitch is a lot like Blockbuster. Blockbuster was the top. It was the king. It was what most people associate renting movies from, right?
Right.
So people would associate and to put this in perspective, I had a Hollywood Video literally across the street from my Blockbuster. I have never went to that Hollywood Video. My brain, even granted as a child, I didn't have much of a choice of where we went to, but I never associated with it. And the reason what I'm getting at here is that Twitch is just the website that is well known to be the streaming platform.
Right.
Because if you're streaming on like any other site like Cozy or D Live or things like that, my take of the matter is if someone says like, "Oh, I stream on Cozy," my immediate thought would be like, "Okay, you're probably banned on like everything else. Either you are
True. Yeah.
like that's just I not to shit on all the Cozy streamers out there, but from what I've seen, whenever people talk about like the big like hate raids that were going on Twitch, most of the time were co-opted through Cozy streamers,
Right.
and that's all I could say about it. It's just like if you came up to me and said like, "Oh, I stream on Cozy," and be like, "Oh, so misogynist, right wingist." What's your card in your deck? You know what I'm saying? Like that's just what I've always taken away from it. Not again, want to clarify, not all Cozy streamers. I just get the impression of that, right?
Right.
So if you told people that like, hey, I'm a streamer that plays video games, people are going to immediately think, oh, you stream on the purple site. That's just how it is.
Right.
If you say to people, oh, I'm a photographer, oh, you must upload to Instagram, right? It's all like what people have this one trick mind, or especially on the internet where it's like, oh, I want to see short videos, I go to TikTok. If I want to see long form, essays and things like that, I go to YouTube. If I want to stream on a platform that is well known for streaming, I stream on Twitch. And that's just like the takeaway. And I'll go more into this later, but yeah, well, I'll go more into detail about it as the big news drop that what Twitch has been doing to their content creators. And I could break it down even further for you. But what were you saying?
So when it comes to Twitch as a whole, I don't like certain things that they did do, certain things that they continue to do. And sure, it's not my platform. I can still respect what like overall, like there are the staple name for streaming, etc., etc. And yeah, that's cool. It's not something that uh like I could support 100%. Like I mean, even YouTube still supports gambling to some degree, and I still find that cringe as hell. But I mean, the whole reason why Twitch does live streams is because they didn't want to become a VOD channel, or I mean a VOD service like YouTube, because that's really expensive. Um, but all that,
Which, yeah, well,
yeah,
yeah. I guess we should get into the gambling situation and where our take of the situation is. So yes, recently, in the midst of the Slicker drama, I don't know if maybe that's like the reason why they decided to reevaluate that decision, but Twitch has been known to be like, streamer does something that is questionable, risque, and things like that, and Twitch
right,
kind of looks at it and just puts their hand on their chin and say, okay, how do we make money out of this? And then they make a category. It's the same thing what happened with the hot tub streamers. That wasn't a thing. It was just a broad just chatting thing. And then that's what people say, like, oh, go to just chatting to make your dick hard or something like that. People saw the
basically,
just chatting, and then girls started doing the hot tub streams. And then Twitch looked at it and they said, okay, people are mad about this. How do we handle this, but we still keep making money? Well, let's make a category for it. And then now people could say, like, well, now you can't get mad, guys, because look, there's the category. But yet I get constantly recommended for these people all the time, as if I go to that. And it's like, look, if I'm going to see naked girls, I go to a different website that isn't Twitch. I don't know why they keep pushing that. I just thought that's really fucking funny to me. But yeah, so the same thing happened with gambling. Basically, a bunch of gambling sites came up to these people and say, hey, this person has a lot of viewers on them, a lot of young, impressionable people on them. Let's go ahead and front a shit ton of money to them so they could go ahead and play slots in front of them, and they have nothing to lose because they make all that money back. And if anything, they have nothing to lose because it's money. It's monopoly money. It's money that I could give to Marcos and say, hey, here's money to make it look like you got money to splurge. You know what
yeah,
I'm
like the
saying?
whole
And by the way,
CS:GO thing, the whole CS:GO debacle, where like people were making CS:GO websites to do what's that called, to roll stuff, but the people who they
yeah, for skins.
yeah, the people who they sponsored were getting more than just skins. They were getting money, legendary skins that are worth a bunch of stuff, and they just essentially inflated the market in their own way. So it's, yeah,
Of course, they tilted it in a way that makes it look like, oh my god, guys, look, I pulled the rare skin PogChamp. You know,
right.
it's like that's disingenuous. Like, come on, dude. Like, wait, you mean to tell me that like the guy who's getting sponsored is suddenly getting good rolls? Like, come on,
Yeah,
dude.
of course.
Let's be honest out here. Let's just let's kind of like that. And yeah, so Twitch basically allowed slots to be on camera, and after people were like kind of questioning like, hey, should this be allowed? Twitch just said, fuck it, there's going to be a category for it. But then I guess, I don't know, maybe it's in the midst of the Slicker drama that maybe they just realized like, hey, allowing gambling to be openly advertised on our platform may eventually breed into this idea of an uptick of of people maybe suing the shit out of us for gambling addiction. I don't know, maybe that could, but then again, a man tried to sue Twitch because he simped too hard. So maybe that's a reason why. But Twitch basically said like, hey, we're no longer going to be allowing gambling on our platform, with some very strict stipulations. They still will allow sports betting and other forms of betting, but things like slots, gambling, and dice roll apparently is up for debate. And if my take on the matter is, and I'm gonna give my take on it. Here's the thing: people are gonna compare this to the hot tub streamers. I never really cared about it. Look, maybe because I'm a 26-year-old and I know I have the internet. I know how to get my dick hard. I don't need that kind of shit to get me going. But I never really bothered me about it. I never been like, oh my god, well, why won't someone think of the children? That shit never really done it for me. Is it weird? Yes, it is, because Twitch is still one of those websites that you need to be only 16 years old to get into. And yes, there is that little button that you can press that says, oh, this channel is dedicated for only mature audiences. Yes, there is that, but people can still click through it and go through it just fine. I argued that gambling should never been on Twitch in the first place because, in my opinion, gambling's addiction is a fucking bitch. It is a thing that people lose their lives for, and I don't think that Twitch should be okay with it. Give it the seal of approval, like, yep, category for this. Now, granted, yes, people are going to still gamble, people are going to still do this, and that, but I think that you shouldn't do that and push it to a young, impressionable audience, especially when you, as a content creator, especially when it brings up to debate, because, like, a lot of people said that, like, look, these streamers that are gambling this money away have that money to splurge. They could throw that money away down the toilet and not we worry about it. But how many people in their audience is going to do that and probably lose their life or lose their house or lose their car or lose everything that they have in front of them? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that that's where Twitch should just be like, hey, we should have probably never allowed this in the first place.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that when it comes to gambling, you not being affected by that kind of addiction, sure, you might not be able to empathize to the whatever degree you need to empathize in order to like understand where someone's been when it comes to like addictions and stuff. But like some people can probably relapse or maybe get into gambling thanks to well other people gambling and making it big and making it seem like how easy it is to get big.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be something as small as I don't know, someone playing a mobile game, and we're like, hey, I pulled this, and I got it. I got it from this banner, and I wasn't even going for it. I just wanted to go like screw it. I got free. I got free. Whatever the
You
currency
got a
is.
character pool that's worth
Yeah,
a lot of money, essentially. Yeah.
essentially, yeah. So like, it's one of those things where like, it's like you ask yourself like, oh, but what if I got it? Type of stuff, and it just keeps adding on and on and on, and people will just get down this whole what do you call it? Will go down this tunnel of addiction, in the form of gambling. So yeah, I guess the only argument I have against like the titty streamers is if you want to, compares apples to apples when it comes to like arguments and stuff. The titty stream or the hot sub streams never really bothered me. I didn't care for it really because like I don't want to log into someone's like what do you call it, Twitch, just to hear them talk unless we're talking about something relevant. And for the most part, most of these um objectively attractive women who were talking, they were not talking about anything interesting. So like what Daniel said, it was just more so just to get your rocks off and stuff. Um, all that being said, I don't think when it comes to addiction, if you're gonna not allow gambling, but you're gonna allow hot tub streams, is there someone who is going through a phase in their life where they're avoiding any form of uh, what do you call this? Uh, Titty stream, or they need to avoid anything to like not to curb their porn addiction, et cetera, et cetera. All that stuff is very important. All that stuff is like to the road to recovery of becoming abstinence of whatever's bringing you down. You want to avoid it at all costs, but when Twitch just throws it out there in your face on the homepage once you log in, it kind of makes it difficult. There are times where I just log into Twitch to see my boy Daniel here stream sometimes. And when I do, sometimes the first thing I would see is titties or gambling. It's one of those ironic things that just make Twitch a nice, funny place to be a part of. And I can see why people are upset about it. It's just something that doesn't really affect me to such a big degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that it's just fucked. It's just, to me, I think that like this is gonna only just get worse. I think that as more and more, basically, put it lightly, Twitch is like got dribbled the shit out of, and they're like snapped their kneecaps, and they're like trying to like get back on their feet, but like the court is already got like half court, and they're already like slam dunking on them right now. But yeah, I think that that's just what's like gonna only get more of a question where it's like, okay, what do we want for this platform and how we do it? And I think that we might as well just get this out of the way right now, because like we might as well talk about the recent issue that Twitch has been doing. Twitch basically, let's just get the Twitch thing out of the way for this episode, and we could kill this off in literally in the first half hour.
Right.
Twitch basically made an announcement where they're doing a drastic change for streamers and how they are going to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
To basically summarize it, Twitch, as far as a partnership program and as more an affiliate, this is more of like a partnership issue, but generally speaking, once you are an affiliate, which means that you finally get a sub button, you get like bits and things like that, and you get to have emotes and you get subscriptions and things like that. Twitch has always been like, hey, 50-50. You make, let's say, $5 in a bit or in sub, for example, you get $2.50. That person gets $2.50. I'm pretty sure that's before taxes and everything. So you got to factor in taxes and everything.
Sure.
But if you're a really big streamer and you finally get partnership and stuff like that, eventually you can negotiate with Twitch to say, hey, we want 70-30. We think that we as a streamer should get more money, yada, 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 because we got bills to pay and things like that. And this is like a common, well-known thing. It's not like exactly, unheard of for someone to say, hey, I get 70-30, I get 70-30, you get 50-50, things like that. So Twitch has basically, I don't know if they're doing this because, to them, they probably thought that like, we want to make everybody fair here. This is an equality situation, yada, yada, yada. But I think a lot of people looked at this as what it was, and I think that what I hated about this announcement was the fact, like, hey guys, look, listen, we heard your complaints, we get it, we all want 70-30, and you guys are well aware of the fact that the guy up above you is getting 70-30. and you're only getting 50-50. So I'll tell you what, dude, we're going to go ahead and make everybody 50-50. And this is the reason why. Is because Twitch is too expensive to run, and we need to make this fair. We need to basically recoup our losses in a situation like this. And I think that that's sort of like the crutch of it. But basically, going back to the Twitch statement, though, they said that the reason why they wanted to do the 50-50 split again, it was because that they said that the Twitch servers are way too expensive to run. And all I could think in the back of my head is that, guys, it's really hard for me to believe that when you're funded and backed by Amazon. I I can't exactly quite agree with you when you're like, you're not a small indie website, trying to get back up to speed. You're funded and supported by Amazon. Jeff Bezos is giving you money. But then that brings up the question. I've been hearing this a lot from people where they said that, like, I think there was a similar situation that broke up like this, where someone brought up a point saying that, simply put, Twitch is not profitable for Amazon. Amazon is probably looking at Twitch as a loss, and they're probably looking at this as like why they're going to have to not only cut the 70-30 split and going back to 50-50, they're also going to demand you to put more ads in your streams, which I think that completely kills content creation right there. I have been so many times, I'll be like, I'm going to look up a streamer. I'm going to give this random streamer a shot, and I go into the stream and I get nothing but 9 ads back to back to back to back. And by the time the ads are done, I'm like, dude, I'm not even going to give this guy a shot. It's just not even worth it. Or God forbid, you might be watching some guy who's streaming a game and he's going through a crazy moment in Fortnite and he's fucking building and his mouse is fucking going, spinning like a goddamn, like a DJ. But then all of a sudden, oh, you got an ad for Lexus. And I'm like,
But
oh,
Daniel,
okay, cool.
But Daniel, YouTube's also going the same way, where if you don't have YouTube Premium, you're going to be sitting through like about 5 ads before a video starts.
But you can skip them.
They're going to make a thing where I forgot what it was, but they're implementing a new thing on YouTube where they're adding more ads prior to a video, and they're going to be more unskippable ads. So that's a big old yikes.
Well, I haven't heard about that though, because here's my trump card with that. You could turn them off. Like, you could just flat out turn them off. Like, you as a content creator.
Oh yeah,
you
no,
could
of
turn
course.
them off.
That's one of the positive things about that, at least.
Like, we'll get to the fact that I eventually start, getting on my knees and praising Susan for, making YouTube a streaming platform. And I want to make this as like more of like a plea to my audience, to our audience here, because I think a lot of them are probably going to be questioning. I had a friend of mine who went on a tangent about like how he was really frustrated with Twitch, and I just like kind of sat with him and like, hey dude, like I know that maybe because you might look at this as like my view is biased, but I've been on both sides of the pond, and I could tell you that why I think that you should be on my side rather than on your side, because I think your side is eventually going to go under versus my side. And I'll go more into that, but I just think that it was just in really poor taste, the fact that like Twitch made this announcement at 2 a.m. That's saying like, hey guys, everyone, we're all going to go back to 50-50 split. We don't want to do the 70-30 anymore because we want to be fair. And I can't exactly agree with that sentiment, because like, I just started a new job and I'm an entry level position, and I can't just be like, I'm mad that my boss is making more money than me. I'm like, well, yeah, he's your boss. Like, he has the rank, he has the position to do that. And I think that this split thing is not only just going to affect, like, and I know some people, the counter, like, knee-jerk reaction for people who hate people with money is they're like, why should I care about like millionaires losing their income? That's true. I don't think like the really big streamers are really going to give a shit about it, assuming that they're smart with their money and they're putting their investments in the right places.
The most amount with this whole cut thing, though, technically speaking.
Absolutely, they are going to take a loss, but are they going to be out in the street? Probably not. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But I've noticed that this idea has just gotten people in this idea like, wait, so I'm getting a 50-50 split and my contract is going to boost up my hours? I don't know, man. That's not really a platform I want to kind of support. And I could give this in perspective like, oh, but why should I care if I'm a small streamer and I'm a 4-view Andy and things like that? Here's the reason why, though. If you're already working on a platform that is already going to give you a 50-50 split, and you already had to put so much hours into this platform that is not going to help grow your channel or grow you alone, because you have to put all these hours in a month in order to stream, why don't you just switch to another platform that lets you make other forms of content, that lets you constantly grow and lets you make other forms of content like YouTube Shorts and YouTube videos and things like that to get yourself more discoverable? Because I'm just going to say this right now. If you're just only a streamer and you only stream and do nothing else, you're not going to grow. You might as well like give up, because you're not optimizing your potential to grow your audience at that point.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that you want to that you brought up when it comes to like hours and stuff, like times. I when it comes to the original like big streamers moving over to YouTube, one thing that they did mention was the amount of hours they were expected to stream, that they were expected to just to create content. And I think it
To
was
keep up. Yeah.
what like at Twitch it was, if you were big enough, you were supposed to stream like, I don't know, somewhere between like 70 hours, and then on YouTube they were talking about like 50, and
Well, on Twitch, it's more like 100 hours a month.
or something like that. Yeah, 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 yeah. All I'm saying is like it's one of those things where people are just like, they don't like, they're moving over to YouTube, mainly because of like the more it's more lax, and it's a lot more what do you call it when it comes to the community guideline and rules on why people got banned. At least with YouTube, it's a lot more clear. It's like, hey, this is the reason why you did it, and we can point at exactly where you messed up. But obviously, a lot of people will
Well, not always.
not always.
Not
I
always.
was about to
Sometimes
point
it's
that out,
just
but
like
yeah.
they give you the like knee jerk, like, oh, we personally reviewed it. Okay, personally explain it to me.
Right. At
You
least
can't just say
that's with
you can't just
videos.
tell me that like you can't just tell me that like, oh yeah, we totally did it, dude. Wink.
Right, that's true. But at least that's with videos. From what I've seen with live streams, at least they actually give you an outline like, this is why you can't do it, and at least it's not that much better, but it's still a little bit better when it comes to like on like communication with your provider of wherever you're streaming. But it's one of those things where like people are just moving over to YouTube just because like the everyone else is moving. It's easier, and I still don't like the whole YouTube allows gambling to a certain degree. It's not my thing. It's not the thing I like. But again, it's not a platform I'll stream on, or I'll be streaming anytime soon. So like, it's not something that I like. I feel like my
But that's a
word
good
isn't.
question, actually. That's a
Yeah.
good question, actually. Now that kind of brings up the question, like, what is allowed in on a platform or on a website? I mean, like, we're complaining that we shouldn't allow gambling, but you could upload practically anything on YouTube. Not granted, not everything. You can't upload smuff content or like very questionable things. But I
Right.
mean, like, where do you draw the line? Like I could look up a video like how to load a gun, how to like shoot a gun and things like that. Is that where do we draw the line? You can't do that on Twitch. You can't show firearms. Like I shot a gun on Twitch and he got fucking banned. And that
Wait,
was a really stupid move.
I think you can. No, well, maybe in the past you were able to show a firearm on Twitch, but I'm not sure if anything's changed since then. Because I feel
No,
like,
you can't brandish a weapon. You can't brandish a weapon. You can't show like a Bowie knife or anything like that. Like that's like a big no no.
oh, okay.
There was a guy who got like hella drunk. He pulled out his gun. He cocked the slide, and the slide went off and shot the gun. And he was like, "Oh no!" Thankfully, no one got hurt, but like it was fucking stupid. It was
There
really
are
stupid.
they also are big on like the whole no drunk on stream either. There's uh uh a Smash player that I like watching. His name is Mango, and he was drunk on stream and he literally passed out, and I think they suspended his account for like a week or two. I can't remember, but it's one of those things where Twitch has a lot of rules for their platform, and sure, I'm pretty sure uh um some people would be upset of those rules, but that's the house that you live in at the moment that you have to like deal with. Because I'm sure, and to bring it back to the whole Amazon thing, like, sure, Amazon may be your daddy, but Amazon has a set budget for you, a set balance, and you can only go so far with that. I'm pretty sure Microsoft goes, let's make this Xbox thing crazy. We're gonna give you a lot more money to do whatever the hell you want, and now they're able to buy every company under the sun to put their thing on Game Pass. Next thing you know, we're gonna see Disney Plus on Game Pass, because why not? So it's one of those things where,
With Hulu, with
yeah.
with the
So it's one of those
with
things.
ESPN and everything.
It's one of those things that I think when it comes to what platform you prefer, I've always been under the camp of like multi-streaming, only because it's if I want to grow as a content creator, when it comes to like viewerships and stuff, I'd rather see myself more so as a person who can just reach a wider audience. Not because like I'm loyal to any one brand or because I want attention. It's just more so that, like, I feel like with a greater audience, you can, like, if you have a different project, like, hey, I have a project that involves a charity, or that involves a like certain content creation when it comes to like YouTubes and stuff. Like I have a YouTube video that I have an idea of, or maybe for music, but I need money. I need more people to see my stuff. It's one of those things where like I don't like having my eggs in on one basket as well. So it's one of those things that all these things happening on Twitch is just like one of those things. Like, it sucks that you put all your eggs in one basket for all these people who just get just getting a whole bunch of headaches and migraines because Twitch does like 10 different things all within a month, and you're just trying to catch up. You're trying to figure out how this is going to affect your content, how this is going to affect your live streams, etc., etc., etc. And it's one of those stressful things about streaming that I'm glad I'm not into right now, at least on Twitch, I should say.
Well, the funny thing is, you mentioned multi-stream. I mean, like Ninja, like straight up went multi-streaming. That kind of like blew my mind. Um,
Right.
and
Did.
I thought that that was like really interesting because like I think that once Twitch announced that like the exclusivity contract was immediately like, hey, you don't got. Granted, I don't think it's like retroactive. I don't think that like if you agreed on it, I think that that's something that you have to renew. I think that that's what Ninja was doing. I think Ninja realized like, hey, my contract's about to expire. I don't really want to do like only stream on one platform. I just said fuck it. I'm gonna stream on everything, and while I have my take on why I don't personally like it, I mean, like I think that like if you're a big streamer, it's not as bad as if like you're a smaller streamer trying to grow. I think that I could say why I don't particularly like why I won't do multi streaming. But I think that once Twitch said like, hey, you don't got an exclusivity contract, I just be like, hey, no exclusivity means negotiations, and you might as well like say fuck it. If you don't got to be exclusively streaming on Twitch, but you still want to stay on the platform, hey man, might as well just do multi-streaming at that point because who gives a shit? You know what I'm saying? But I've always argued that if you're just like I said, if you're just only a streamer, you're not gonna grow only as a streamer. You have to make other forms of content that
Of course, of
makes
course.
people come to your platform. So that's just my take on the matter of that situation.
Well, the reason why I'm all for multi-streaming, especially what Ninja's doing, much like how Facebook has over 2 billion users, TikTok has somewhere in a similar range amount of users, and they're doing TikTok lives where everyone's freaking using TikTok. At least the newer generation, they're using TikTok. And not only that, the name Ninja is essentially like a simple common placeholder at your home, like Kirkland or anything else that you constantly see at your home, like Cheshire Hills or whatever the place, like people who make the butter. Like when you think of live streaming and you hear the word ninja, you're like, yeah, I've heard of him. I probably heard of him at one point or another. Like it's something to the point. Like he's gotten so big that I wouldn't be surprised that a random 40-year-old dude who doesn't know much about streaming, who knows a little bit because his kids, talk about streaming and all that stuff, or like Fortnite. Like he must have heard about Ninja at one point or another. So him being on TikTok live, I think that's the platform, right? That's what it's called, TikTok Live, or that's what.
No, it's just it's just regular called TikTok. Like TikTok, I don't think you probably use the app, but it's one of those things where, like you just keep scrolling up, and then later eventually you'll like find like a stream or something. I get like a lot of streamers on it. I've seen people. There was a guy who would stream like Rhythm Heaven all day, every day. I'm trying to think on the top of my head. There's a lot of Super Mario World mod streamers. Basically, they play like level mods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just play some really obscure shit. Like some people just like blow up. They're playing like the original PS2 version of God of War, and it's just kind of crazy to me. I think that there is sort of like an interesting algorithm of it. But like to quote Ninja, I've also think that like streaming on TikTok is also like really unhinged. Like I have this running trend where like I got like nothing but people who just be like, hey man, I'm streaming on TikTok, give me money so I have food and medicine, and they're like really mean about it too, where they're like oh hey man, like someone will give them like advice like, hey man, if you have like a car or something, you could do Uber Eats, I could give you some money. And there's like, well, how about I just give you a block instead? And I'm like, hey man, like sometimes knowledge is more valuable than the short-term dollar amount. You know what I'm saying?
True, and it's one of those things that I, I, if when it comes to you growing as a person or you growing as a platform, sure, you can stream on every single live streaming platform there is. But the one thing that's scary, that's like scary to me, this is the whole like AI apocalypse is gonna happen in the near future. If you believe in that the reason why I like Facebook when it comes to like certain streaming things is like I would watch someone play Bloodborne and I'm like, you know what? I like Bloodborne, and this guy only has like 10 viewers. You're like, I'm gonna just stick around. And you were talking about, I think, what was it on TikTok that someone was just playing God of War 2? Like that's one of the things that like you wouldn't expect YouTube or Twitch to recommend to you because they're trying to recommend to you their big staple stuff. But like the algorithm on TikTok and on Facebook is so absurdly accurate and scary that it just pops up something that they know for sure that you are more attracted to this kind of content more so than watching someone, I don't know, build a Lego fortress for fun, right? It's one of those things that you're just like, okay, that's cool. Thanks for showing me this on my For You page. But it's one of the like the only positives I would think about like streaming on those platforms. But I feel like it's a headache when it comes to multi streaming. But nowadays, there are certain applications, there's certain services that you can just do. It's for free, or you can pay for it. Where they're like, hey, I want to multi stream for these websites, and all you gotta do is just connect your accounts, and there you go. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but yeah. But that's all I really have to say about this whole Twitch thing, this whole money thing. I'm just concerned about this whole Twitch split money thing, because it's gonna affect the 1%, and the 1% are thinking about moving to YouTube already. So do you think something
Hmm.
like this is gonna like push them over the edge? Like
Yes.
I think
Yes,
so
I
too.
there's a lot of streamers right now who are just like flat out saying like, "Hey, I got nothing to lose. This platform is not for me anymore." I'm trying to get a couple of my friends to reconsider. I tell them like, "Hey, maybe you got to do it." And I get the sentiment. Like I get where people are a little bit scared because. And it's just crazy to me because, like, as Twitch is doing really stupid shit, YouTube has been doing things to get things better. And
Right.
there's even ways to just make the streaming experience even better. I mean, like, hell, a crazy example was that I was looking up, like, generally speaking, when I ask people, if I could summarize it like this, YouTube streaming, as far as like the streaming experience go, as if I could summarize it in a couple sentences, would be YouTube is a website that hosts videos that you could also stream on, but Twitch is a platform that you stream on that also lets you host your VODs sometimes because they sometimes just flat out delete them. And what I mean by that is that YouTube has always been video website first, streaming platform second. But I always argued that streaming alone is never been enough of a platform. I think that yes, if you are just only streaming on YouTube, you're going to have a way, way, way harder time to grow on, because that means that someone has to actively not only type in Apex Legends, they have to type in Apex Legends live stream and then somehow manage to circumvent back to you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I was like talking about that with a friend of mine, where it's just like telling him like, look, dude, like you already have to make content already on your YouTube channel to bring it back to your Twitch page. But let's just say hypothetically, you blow up your YouTube channel or your TikTok channel or whatever you're doing that's already discoverable and easily viewable content. Now you don't have to like drag people through the teeth to come from YouTube back to your streaming platform, which would be Twitch in this example. And I'm just seeing all these people that are just straight up like, hey, I'm going to stream on YouTube on this day and then I'm going to stream on Twitch this day, which is just kind of crazy to me. Like I didn't know you could do that, because I assumed that once you're partner you're tied to the exclusivity. But then when Twitch just said, fuck it, you could just be, do whatever you want, I think a lot of people are going to start looking at this and just be like, hey man, I don't already got a lot of problems with this platform, and now this up and coming platform is doing money moves that are making me happy. I mean shit, YouTube just said like, hey, you're going to get ad revenue now on your shorts, which is
Yeah.
crazy to me. Which, because back then people say, oh, but wasn't there a creator fund? Yes, it's a creator fund that has to be split evenly amongst everyone. Now you just get ad revenue. That's a constant flow of income and evergreen content that can let people discover you and do it. I've discovered so many streamers and YouTubers through compilations or videos that they've put out that made me be like, oh, this guy I like on YouTube is now streaming. I'm gonna watch this person on YouTube. I mean, shit, right now I'm watching like a dude who's playing Splatoon 3 and I'm just viewing it just fine. Shit, if I full screen it, and recently with Ludwig's Twitch, well, YouTube live extension, it's practically like 1-to-1. It's practically like just taking the Twitch chat experience and they're just moving it on to YouTube. Granted, it's not perfect. I still think that YouTube could have some slightly better moderation tools. But like I'm saying, I'm telling the people right now, look, Twitch is already a dumpster fire right now. YouTube is already giving people a 70-30 split. It's a platform that you're already going to have to grow on anyways. Why the fuck are you still streaming on Twitch and having to deal with this moniker? And I get it. Oh, but this is what it's comfortable with. It's what people know me as. But
Mm-hmm.
like, dude, wouldn't you want to be the trendsetter of doing it like on a newer platform? I mean, like, I'm just saying that to me, from here on out, you only could go up from here, and that's just the decision you're going to make. So I think that people should really look at this and be like, what is good for myself, my brand, and from my future income? You know what I'm saying? And I think that people are going to start looking at this, and I'm seeing a lot of people are just saying, fuck it. Why should I bother sticking to Twitch now?
And I think you forgot to mention, or maybe you did, and it just passed me by. But with the whole shorts, not only are people getting paid, they're getting paid to also use popular songs.
Yeah, that's true though. You don't have to deal with copyright strikes, which is fantastic for me, because I can only imagine like the comedy potential where it's like, oh, I really want to use this joke for a song. But like, let's say you're working on a review or something. Like I had this funny idea where like I want to use a Bobby Brown song for like a Hunt Showdown video, because I thought about there's a song I really like. called Getaway, and I thought like, oh, this would be great, but I can't risk putting that in my YouTube video, because if I put that in my YouTube video, all right, good, you're fucked. You can't, your video got copyright striked, and now you can't make a single dime out of it. But if I want to take that same joke and put it on a shorts content, fuck it, I could do that, and I could still make money off of it, and I don't got to worry about a copyright strike.
What's crazy is some people are getting creators who get like 100,000 views on the video, if they're lucky, when they make a short on the video, on that same video, like just to like clarify, like highlights of the video, they will get like 2 million views, and it's absurd. It's crazy. And what makes it even crazier is that, sure, like the payout isn't quite the same as an actual video, but because with the fund, when it comes to making shorts and stuff, you still need to because YouTube needs to still pay out their who they gotta pay out in order for you to use popular songs. But you could still get a lot more views, money, and it's a shorter content that people are getting used to with the whole I just want to see 60-second clips max of something and then move on type of thing, right? And
that, and also that also factors in the idea of like, recently there was an update on OBS. So granted, this is more of like a Twitch feature, so take the W for this one. Basically, the idea is that there's a update that's been on OBS. There's a recent update on OBS which is fucking fantastic. It looks amazing. Basically, there's a way that if you are, let's say, playing music, for example, your audience will be able to hear it when it's live. But once the VOD comes out, though, the music is not being played.
That's good.
So what I'm getting at it here is that, let's say, for example, I've seen this a lot. Like if you watch like really old Asmongold clips where like he's just playing like copyrighted music because he doesn't give a shit about it.
Right.
There's like this weird thing where like clearly the editor has to like up and down the audio like over and over and over again, and you could kind of hear the music in the background. That's because like he's playing music in the background. Now, let's say if you have a Twitch clip that you want to put and you're like, oh, that's a really funny moment, let me go ahead and put that, but you're playing some copyrighted music. Back then you would get into trouble with that, but through this OBS update, now you can filter out that track in the VOD where it doesn't keep that music. Now you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Generally, people would use digital mixers if they want to listen to a song that's heavily copyrighted while they're playing their games, while live streaming, and they would just use that audio mixer just to just to what do you call it, to listen to what we got to listen to, and then makes VOD editing a lot easier too. But it seems like this OBS update that you're talking about makes it that much easier just to make VODs, and that's pretty cool actually. Maybe I should get into streaming.
Yeah, it's granted I try to use it on my for example, I could give you like a really good example. When I first got the new OBS update and I used in video broadcast, I had to basically start from scratch all over again because I didn't really fuck around my OBS settings when I built this new computer. Essentially what happened was that the feature's only available on I think it's only works on Twitch VODs, but essentially what happened was that I recommend to people, if you are going to be playing music on your streams or whatever, I highly recommend you please make a playlist that is just copyrighted free music or music that is allowed to be streamed. Usually I use Stream Beats by Harris Heller. I love this guy's YouTube channel. He makes fantastic guides and content on YouTube on as far as like your streaming and platform and your YouTube career and things like that. He has a great library of Stream Beats, which is basically like his music library where he pays for artists to come and say, hey, make music for my label, and he lets people use it for like your YouTube videos and for your streams. But essentially what I'm getting at here is that I didn't make an entire playlist and the music was playing in the background. I wasn't really paying attention. I got copyrighted claimed by like 2 musicians, and granted they didn't like strike me down, they didn't do anything like that, but YouTube picked up the audio and said, hey, just so you know, they could hear it, they could claim it, but there's no action against your video. So I definitely recommend you guys to like really make a playlist of like copyrighted free music, so you don't have to worry about that in the future, because you could get royally fucked afterwards.
Yeah.
And that really sucks.
It's an interesting landscape now that things are getting much easier, much more streamlined, much like how we've said this multiple times in this channel, where like before watching anime was like any random anime that you want to watch was a bit like cancerous at times, because you have to watch it on YouTube on like 280p and everything, and now every other streaming platform has anime showings, and even anime that just dropped day one is on these streaming websites. Now these live streaming websites are becoming much more easier and much more fluid, much more
competitive. I think
yeah.
the word
Yeah.
I think that's the word we should be using. It's just competitive. You're just like, I said this to a friend of mine where I told him that like, if the competition is, okay, let me put it like this though, to quote myself, I said, if you are making the competition already a better looking option, you already made my decision at that point.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have to say it. You already made that decision. If you, it's like saying like, if my job already said to me like, hey, this job is going to pay me more money and you were lowering my pay. All right, well, you already made the decision for me. I didn't have to say a word. And I think that's what people are going to look at it, where it's just like, damn, I could grow here. I can make other content and I don't got to pull teeth to drag people over to my platform. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I could just do that, or I could stick to this old platform because, oh, it's well known and that's what I'm known for. I think that this is going to be a wake up call for people that are just going to be like, hey, I think that, you know, we're going to do it. And even, let's just say, and like I've always said this before, even on a platform, I don't want Twitch to fail, because here's the thing though, I'm a capitalist and I love it when my two giant mega corporations fight amongst each other, so I win in the end.
I think it's still cringe that some of these people will just vehemently support Twitch because they heard some one dude talking about how bad YouTube is or every other platform is, and it's one of those things where like I I guess if you just want to be a my opinions only change when someone releases a video about it, and then that's when my opinions will change because it's a confirmation bias type of thing. It's kind of annoying talking to people like that who like have this brick wall up because like no, they don't want to hear all this success, all this evidence, or all this reasoning that you managed to sit down and I'm like, oh, I don't think I would support this platform because of this and that. And this is my experience. They're like, oh, you're just a shill. It's one of those dumb arguments that nuance doesn't exist for some people, and it's what
I argued that it's just habitual thinking. That's the problem. It's just
Yeah.
like your mind is thinking live stream Twitch, cock, poggers, things like that. You can't translate that onto like YouTube or things like that because that kind of community hasn't like exactly been formed yet. The best way I could describe it is that like I watch like a lot of VTubers, right? And VTubers have like their own little in jokes and things like that because that's their their little community, because that's how like YouTube VTubers have like grew it as like, oh, if I say to you, like you might not get it because that's like, well, what the fuck does that mean? But that's like a joke between like the VTubing English community, because like, oh, Guru said that as like her first word she said on stream. But with Twitch, it's like, oh, PogChamp is like universal. It's like everybody has a PogChamp emote or like something like that because that's what the platform has made it for, like the standard for everyone. You know
well,
what I'm
yeah.
saying?
After they took it off, everyone.
Well, no, PogChamp still exists. It's just no longer related with Gutex, which that guy, I don't know where the fuck he is right now.
He for those who don't know, there was a emoji that people started using based off his reaction on one video of this one creator or this one Smash Bros player, and he became the face of something called a Pog face, and it's an emoji that basically just says like, oh, whatever you just did was pretty cool or like pretty like absurdly awesome or in that degree. So like once his
Or shocked
or shocked, yeah, or so once his political views came out on how vehemently like hard he went into it, Twitch is like, we're not gonna support this guy, so we're gonna remove his emoji and any likings from the global emoji or public domain emoji things that we have here on Twitch that everyone can use at any channel. So then because of that, Pog literally became the PogChamp emoji became the emoji or the reaction of the actual platform. Like every time you hear about PogChamp, you always think about Twitch. So every channel who makes their own, or they pay someone to make their own emojis or whatever, everyone has their own variant of it. And it's funny how they take the original PogChamp and they distort it in such a way where like exactly what it is, but obviously Twitch doesn't care what it is because it doesn't look like the original. So
I mean, like, to put this in perspective, Gutex got replaced by a fucking gecko or a lizard. Like, that's, like, the legacy left. Is like, that's just the funniest thing ever. Like, hey, I was a really big streamer, a YouTuber, and everything. And then I went super right-wing and then went completely off the deep end. And now I got replaced by a lizard. And I'm like, hey, man, that's the legacy left. Man, I don't know what to tell you. That's just kind of cringe. I don't know where that guy has been since that fucking fiasco dropped. Like, granted, yes, you can still use the PogChamp emote through extensions and things like that, like the original. Because some people are just like, maybe, I don't know, maybe just people don't like the change or things like that. I personally don't use it. When I make my own PogChamp emote, eventually, like, it's going to be different. But I just think that this is really funny where Twitch is, before it was like random. If you typed in PogChamp, it would be like a random PogChamp from like any other streamer. But I just thought it was funny. Like, all right, guys, we voted. It's a lizard. The lizard is now the official face of the PogChamp.
It's just one of those uh life mimics. What do you call it?
Art.
Art. Yeah. It's just one
Yeah,
thing
pretty
after
much.
another.
But anyways, let's move on from the color purple and let's talk about brown. And what I mean brown, I mean butt plugs and chess, because apparently there's some like crazy heist movie that's going on where like butt plugs are used as a way to tell if someone is using the cheat codes in order to hack into chess. Marcos, I don't play chess because I'm too fucking stupid. I can barely understand checkers, so I'll let you take the reins on this one.
Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want to find a toxic way to find out if someone's smart or dumb, just tell them to name 3 chess pieces, and if they don't do it in 5 seconds, just move on. Unmatch them from Tinder or whatever the heck you use to.
Okay, king, queen, knight.
There you
Okay,
go.
so I'm good.
There you go. You're good.
I
Gabby.
watch Harry Potter and I've seen too many smug anime characters mention this shit. I watch Kogias. Fuck yeah, pussy.
Literally every anime with the protagonist is like super smart. Let's do a chess episode because why not?
Oh, dude, this guy has the Emperor chess piece, dude. His dick must be fucking huge.
So when it comes to the chess community, or at least the chess competitive scene, if you want to call it that, because like I'm a filthy video game nerd who calls anything in the professional manner competitive scene. NFL? No, I don't know anything about that. Oh, you mean American football competitive scene? No, I know about that. Heck yeah. So when it comes to chess, at least the big old chess world tournaments and whatever that you want to call it, there is one very very special name that is essentially synonymous with chess, and his name is I think Carl Magnus, and he's was a chess prodigy when he was a child, and then he just wouldn't stop taking W's and W's and W's to the point where like if you look at this man now and how big his head is, like every time I see him, like dude, this is a guy who's got like too many wrinkles in his brains because this guy has like so much experience with chess. And if I were to tell you how to play chess, honestly, if you want to get really really good, you just gotta memorize a lot of plays, and that's the one way to get good. That's why like computers can be like the best chess players ever, because they're just computers who could just memorize things easily. And that's one of the things that Magnus does very very well. He knows how to memorize plays and just keep on, and he just keeps going and going and going and going until like, well, until he just until recently he was the I think 20-time world champion. I don't even know, but recently he lost a game against I think a 19-year-old fellow, and the whole chess world was like, what the heck just happened? Magnus got dethroned. Oh my gosh, what's going on? And turns out the dude who beat Magnus in a chess game, he was at one point or another known for cheating in different games. To what degree, I'm not sure. All I know is that people did know that he was a previous naughty boy. And one of the cringiest parts of this is that I can understand that people be upset that someone of Magnus's caliber got beaten by this simpleton, this cretin that he's known negatively in the chess community. And sure, it is what it is. However, the audacity, the audacity of of this chess committee that hosts the tournaments for the world chess tournaments or competitions or whatever, they said, all right, we use the metal detector on them, we run it multiple times, we searched this bag, we searched his hand, we searched his ear, we searched his hair, we searched every little thing about him, and we couldn't find any forms of cheating or any like malpractice. So we believe that this man did the whole prison style. He put something up his butt that gave him directions, that gave him advice on what chess pieces to move and whatever. How that works, I don't know. But the audacity for them to do that is just at just like comedy movie levels, right? Like it's one of those things where
That's
like
some goofy shit.
like if a metal detector couldn't detect it, I don't think he might have had something up his butt. But people are trying, they're throwing things on the wall and they're just trying to see if anything else can stick.
The copium is real.
It's fat copium. So like, do I really care too much about this? No, I really don't really care about this whole like chess world thing. But like, I do find it ironic that that their homeboy, their the Carl Magnus, the number one chess player ever, right? He got wrecked, right? And they decided to do a rematch, an online rematch, and within two moves, I think, yeah, within two moves, Carl Magnus disconnected from the voice chat, and people were getting even more upset that Carl Magnus is going. He was literally on tilt controls to the point where he disconnected, and Danny and I were talking about this prior to recording, and it doesn't really help the what do you call it? Doesn't really help uh
The accusations at
yeah,
that point.
yeah, because like if Carl Magnus like expected you to play a certain way, and you galaxy brained him to such a degree, like, oh, you expected to move this pawn to e4, well, I'm gonna move my pawn to a2, because screw you, why not? Now or a4, yeah, or a4, and you're like, you weren't supposed to do that. Why are you doing this? And then he disconnects because he basically gaslit himself or was overthinking. I don't know. All I know is that this is a very very um very very interesting time in the chess community, because all this is happening, and I hope if it turns out that he was cheating, I hope he gets banned for life, because if he found a way to be cheating, but if he wasn't cheating and he like genuinely actually beat Carl Magnus in person legitimately, whoever made that accusation about him having anal butt plugs up his butt, they need to grovel at this guy's feet for forgiveness, because an accusation like that,
He needs to have a butt plug up his butt.
I mean, probably. The only reason I'm only pointing this out is because the whole chess thing is always seen as like an elegant sport, like a like a
High class society.
right. And it's one of those things, just to see them stoop this low, I can only like see it done like in a what do you call it, in a like video game community where like it's nothing but meme cultures for them, but seeing it in the chess, an official chess tournament like that, I don't know, man. Things is going crazy.
Yeah, to me, I just all I heard was like, to me when I just read the title, like, oh, chess player accused of butt plug cheating. I just thought, oh, that's really fucking goofy. I got to read into this, and I just thought that, like, okay, so apparently the accusation is that he has a butt plug that's giving him like secret advice, like he has a fucking stand. Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, literally stand. You're absolutely hit it right on the head.
And I was just like, okay, so that happened, and okay, I know that chess kind of blew up on the internet for a bit because all of a sudden streamers are playing it, but I just thought that was like really funny. And then there was like a rematch, and then he just didn't do it. When you were describing this story, this kind of reminds me of a video I saw years ago. It was a guy basically proving that, like, oh, look at me, I'm like a monk or something. I could control like the elements around me and things like that.
Right.
And the guy was like, I think you might have seen it. It was a really popular video back in the day. But basically, it was a guy who was like, oh, I could push pages of a book with nothing but with like my chi energy and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And they brought on the scientist on, and he was like saying like, oh, I know how you're doing. He's like, oh, how? Well, you're blowing into it. I can see what you're doing. You're pushing the wind into doing it. And he's like, oh, I'm not pushing the wind. He's like, okay, cool. So here's what I'm gonna do. He sprinkled on some like white like snow like product. I don't want to say drugs because that's like the easy cop out answer. But basically put white rice or something on it that has like no weight or anything. And he says like, well, you just did it in front of me without it. So I'm gonna put this thing right here, and this thing is light as a feather. You could push it easily with just the bread with the wind. And you're claiming that you're not breathing into it or pushing it with your breath or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So I need you to do it again, but with the sting in front of it. And then he's like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. And he's like, oh, why not? Like, you did it just before. And that's just like the thing is that, like, okay, if you're so confident the first time, and now when they challenge you again and then you pussied out on it, it's not like a guaranteed of it, but it doesn't help you look any less more suspicious.
That's true. Especially those people who like they only want to do it once and that's really it. And there's no recording or anything. Like it's just as suspicious as people say, oh, I beat a new world record of this video game. But then when they ask them, oh, show us the back of the TV, they're like, oh, I can't. I got to move everything. The TV's too heavy. There's it's just piles back there.
Which, you know what the thing is, though, and I fucking hate it. I feel anybody who's right now stuck in the Call of Duty algorithm, God, I have been getting nothing but fucking videos about this girl streamer named Nadia who's like claims to be like a cheat. And it's like I get so fucking tired of it because it's like all day, every day. It's like, oh, I'm not a cheater. I'm a badass. And then she went into this like Modern Warfare 2 event. She just got fucking curb stomped on it. And it's like, and I'm like looking at this. I'm like, okay, either two things are gonna play out. It's either sexism or it's gonna be like both sides. Is either are they sexist because
Um,
they.
Daniel, did you forget about Gamergate already? Gosh, your sex has been showing,
Oh
bro.
yeah, yeah, you can't do that. So like that's like the knee jerk reaction. Like I'm trying to like predict the script at this point. Like okay, they're accusing her that she's cheating because she's dog shit or she's using like hacks or something like that. But she's also a woman, so we gotta factor that into the nothing into the burger of this combo fest of that. But let's also throw in the side of fries that she also sucked at the goddamn live event. So, but my favorite fucking part about this, like okay, I blocked everybody who mentioned this shit because I was getting sick and tired of it. And then right when I open up TikTok, this girl's fucking channel shows up. And it's just like, I'm going to prove it that I'm not a hacker. I'm going to use eye tracking software. And then I'm like, no, she did it. So I look in the comments and it's just like, yeah, she didn't use it. She's fucking lying. And I'm like, God fucking damn it. I hate everybody involved in this situation. It's
Um,
such easy views. It's such easy content.
I, I look. I don't understand the whole using like this whole cringe hatred of like women playing video games. If anything, I sort of feel bad for women getting into video games because it, if you're a 8-year-old, 8-year-old, and I were to tell you this 8-year-old individual plays video games, you would think it's a guy. Guys have been playing video games for years prior to a woman picking up a controller or playing a game seriously. That's why when it comes to fighting games, there's this person I know. Her sister wants to get into playing fighting games, and she's wondering why am I not as good as you guys? Like, dude, we've been playing games, just games in general, for decades, and that skill transfers to some degree over, throughout time. And when people say, "Oh, I'm a girl gamer," and I have these skills, people want to test it. I'm sure they want to test it, and I don't mind putting your thing to the test to see if it actually is true. I don't mind that. But when it comes to like people covering up lies and stuff just so you can just like be like what's this thing? It's like, oh, I'm an actual like good player. I just I'm only good at my house. I'm only good at everything. It's just a lot of like, are you sure about that? Like, this doesn't sound right. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just every time anyone talks about like a woman playing a video game, it's just very cringy to me, and it makes me feel bad because like obviously when you we all know how Call of Duty lobbies are. Whenever there's a woman talking over the mic, everyone just goes ape crap. Just going, oh, is that a girl?
Yeah,
Is that a
it's
girl?
just like, oh, like, all right, my misogyny. All right, I was waiting to bust this out.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where like it's almost like a lose-lose situation. So it's, yeah, I
Yeah,
don't.
it was just like really tiring somewhere. It's just like, oh boy, here we go, and it's just like the same song and dance. I'm like, okay, let's see how this plays out.
The one thing that makes me,
Let's speak about Call of. Oh,
yeah, I was about to actually talking about Call of Duty, about how Modern Warfare 2 is going crazy, but like,
hey, I'm watching at it right now. This is not doing. I'm not like this looks better than Vanguard. I'll give it that, but yeah, I'm just gonna wait for Warzone 2 and not spend my $70 because this game's gonna be $70 fucking.
you're not gonna get
Oh, who knows?
the
Maybe this game.
you're not gonna get the whole game.
Oh fuck no, absolutely not. Vanguard was a waste. Was a loss of
Oh yeah, it
loss
was
too.
a very very rushed product, but Modern Warfare 2 had 3 years of development time, which is surprising.
I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and I mean, I've heard good things about it, but I don't know, man. Like, you have to really, really try to get me to give a shit about a new Call of Duty game, especially when we live in a day and age where we know that Warzone is a free to play game. I don't know if I do, because like, let's be honest though, like after Warzone came out, I didn't give a shit about a Call of Duty multiplayer since, and I'm like, oh wait, I could have just like waited for the Warzone game to come out, and I wouldn't have to spend my money on it. Because Vanguard was fun for like a weekend, maybe at best. But like, yeah, I'm not really even remotely interested. In the fact this is going to be $70, it's like, yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe this might sell bad enough, then they'll go on sale. But who knows? But as of now, I'm in no particular rush. I'm just watching the footage of it right now, and it's like this looks okay, but it's not like as okay. Let me put it like this though. Coming from Black Ops 4 to Modern Warfare 2019, I can see like a drastic improvement, right?
Hmm.
Coming from Modern Warfare 2019 to Modern Warfare 2, it's not that drastic. So it's not like enough for me to be like, oh yeah, this is totally the COD I'm super excited for, you know?
I I just like COD because it's one of those things that no matter how bad the game actually is, I could still. there's something in my brain that enjoys
It's
it.
junk food. It's
Yeah,
junk food gaming. Yeah, exactly. You don't really put much thought into it. Like some people buy Call of Duty games like they're buying groceries.
yeah,
Like, oh, a new COD came out. What?
that's true, and that's one of the things that I like about what do you call it? About at least with any Call of Duty games. Like I'm really good at COD when it comes to regular multiplayers. I still need to get used to the whole Warzone experience because it's something that I'm not like still used to it. Even though like I'm decent at it, I'm not like the best. But either way, when it comes to um multiplayers, multiplayer Call of Duty games, there are times where I'm like just like really cracked, and other times I'm just really good, and that's the reason why I play. It's like the whole I want to go on a winning streak or I want to go play something that I'm used to, so I just play it. So when it comes to Vanguard, I played a good amount of it, like a lot, when it comes to the multiplayers, and I did surprisingly very well, and my skills only have gotten better. When it came to the Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, I mainly played zombies, but when I started playing multiplayer, I didn't expect to be really good, but I was. And I'll probably get Modern Warfare 2 just to play the multiplayer. It's that itch to scratch of like playing a first person shooter that isn't super realistic, that isn't like Siege or Escape from Tarkov or etc like that, where like there's some physics that need to be followed in order to be realistic. But it's just a Call of Duty game, so like you said, it's just the junk food, and yeah, that's pretty cool when it comes to just playing a video game. But Warzone 2, and there's also the DMZ, which is going to be like a Escape from Tarkov like gameplay. Um, maybe hopefully that might be free, maybe not. We don't know. Warzone 2 is probably going to be free because it's just so much content,
Oh yeah, it's
so much
yeah.
content.
No, I think the funny thing was I was talking to a friend of mine where I was like we were talking because we were talking about the Modern Warfare 2 beta, and they're like, oh, this is really fun. Like I think you should get it. I was telling him that like a Call of Duty game has to really try because like I told him that like in my lifetime I bought like 5 Call of Duty games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I brought up I brought up the point that it was like a really fat mainly the reason why I bought Black Ops 4 was for the BR because I was just interested to see like how does a Call of Duty game handle a BR formula, because remember this is when BRs were still new and they were still like the early access stuff. This wasn't before like everything got standardized with like the Fortnite updates, the Apex Legends, like that. I was mainly interested about the idea of like how would you do a BR if the game had a paywall behind it or you had to buy a game in order to play it. And now we now know that like we know that BRs function better when they're just free to play games, easily accessible and multi-platform.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously though, because we saw that, like who many people fucking remember that Battlefield 5 had a fucking BR mode, and now look at it, it doesn't have a BR
Yeah.
mode in 2042.
Funny enough, I have a very healthy relationship with Fallout 76, and even that game had a BR, and it was horrible. Like like if you were, it was a BR where if you were had high level, you were high level because you would gain experience the more you play the BR, you would get more edge, more everything, and it only was fun for the people who were the higher echelon and had everything, and they were just bullying everyone else at the bottom, like who were low levels. So like that BR was
That's a
absolutely trash.
really hard sell for a lot of people.
Yeah, it was really bad. I played it twice, and I'm like, wait, you're telling me, I just started playing this whole BR thing for Fallout 76. I'm at level 1. It's a separate leveling up system from like your in-game progression versus your BR in-game progression, and then this guy who's level 200 in this whole BR thing can just have all these mutations, and I have an extra defense and extra attack, and I have nothing to go against except maybe finding a lucky item like does that can out damage him. Nah, I ain't gonna do that. So now,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
it's
it's bad.
yeah, I get you. But yeah, let's go ahead and wrap, everyone. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the DKM podcast. Appreciate you guys. Sorry for the random upload last week. I just started a new job. I'm trying to like adjust my schedule and everything. I'll try my best to get this episode out by Tuesday, as we normally upload it. But I just want to say thank you so much for watching and listening to the DKM podcast. We really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also, as you guys know, you could listen to us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, any of those streaming services. We are available there. If you want to keep up to date on to the podcast or up to our shenanigans, follow us on Twitter at the DKM podcast. All the following links are right below. And if you want to join our community, feel free to join our Discord server. Links are down below as well. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the DKM podcast. This is Daniel and Marcos, and you have a wonderful day. Until next time, see you later.